welcome to the Sword and Laser. I'm Veronica Belmont.
I'm Tom Merritt.
What are you doing?
Punching things up now.
That's
it's time to get efficient.
Strangely, not that intimidating.
Gonna help Brent Weeks. Well, it's not supposed to be intimidating.
Well, among other things, these author spotlights aim to save authors' email by answering a lot of questions for them and then asking some of your questions to them directly. We're kind of like a voluntary third-party FAQ.
We're like efficiency kung fu experts. We're gonna start by telling you 6 things you should know about Brent Weeks. Brent Weeks hails from Montana and graduated from Hillsdale College. He's worked as a teacher and a bartender and began writing on bar napkins. He now lives in Oregon.
His first novel, The Way of Shadows, was published in 2008 by Orbit. It was the first novel in the Night Angel trilogy.
The Lightbringer series was originally supposed to be a trilogy, but in 2012 it was announced it will be 4 books long.
Weeks has stated that he believes the 3rd book in the Lightbringer series, The Broken Eye, is his best work yet and his longest. He estimated it would be about 155 to 160,000 words. Well, it ended up at a very Martin-esque 306,000 words.
Weeks has admitted publicly that he had been kinda enjoying using Word 365 by Microsoft. He suspects it may just be the comfort of resuming a dysfunctional relationship, and he would still kill it if given a chance.
Brent claims to read all his email, but he doesn't always, reply. The reason involves headbanging and delusions of hamsters. He reads the good ones, though, like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's nice. Anyway, it's an excellent start, but we can save Brent Weeks from even more head-banging, hamster-delusional email by showing you a little more insight from Aaron in a whiteboard video.
I've got a theory. Assassins are the new zombies. Genre motifs rise and fall, and today's fascination with superheroes can quickly become yesterday's overused giant robots. Don't feel sad. Trends are cyclical, and the giant robots will rise again. But for right now, it would be hard to argue against the zombie as the current reigning genre trope. But with zombies showing up in car insurance commercials, I think we're about on the tail end of this one. My pick for our next fascination? Assassins. And no one is better situated to take advantage of this opportunity than Brent Weeks. His successful Night Angel series introduced readers to an entire world of shadowy killers. With a strong central character and plenty of violent action, the series seems unnatural for adaptation in other media. The follow-up Lightbringer novels demonstrate Weeks' facility with politics and religion, which Machiavelli would happily explain to you can be just as deadly as any ninja. If you think all this grittiness might be a turnoff, you need to cruise the review sites and read page after page of fans desperate for the upcoming sequels. An author of gritty, politically driven fantasy, ripe for television adaptation, whose fans can't wait for the next installment. Where have I heard this before?
I don't see the similarities.
Well,
Not seeing it.
the beard.
Yeah,
No?
not quite.
No.
No.
No, he doesn't
A little
wear
different.
suspenders.
No suspenders, yeah.
Well, our efficiency effort continues with Brent Weeks, who's right here.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Brent.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really glad to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you in the space castle in the sky. So I'm going to kick things off
Space,
with
not the sky.
The sky is still
We're not
in space.
we're not in the atmosphere.
Okay, we're not in the atmosphere.
So it's not the sky.
You're always correcting me. So I feel like I'm an expert in Assassins because I play Assassin's Creed.
shouldn't
So I feel like
Clearly.
this is something that I know a lot about. So do you feel like that game is in any way representative of being an assassin as a career role?
Oh yeah.
profession.
I feel like Assassin's Creed really gets everything right. It's very historical, and I love that about that series. You can bathe with peasants and discuss the events of the day, and that's just wonderful. The thing about Assassin's Creed that really ticked me off is I was actually finished writing my series of books when that first video game came out, and I almost died. I was like, no, they've stolen my cover art, and then we turned back around and we kind of stole theirs.
Well, it's funny. We talked about this
swipe
last year.
our cowl, we'll swipe yours.
We discussed this actually with Trudy Canavan last season because there's been a big rush of hooded, cowled assassin-type people recently on book covers within the past few years, and you're obviously a major part of that as well.
Yes, I've become wedded to the hooded man. When my second series of books, the Lightbringer books, came out, I was somewhat appalled to see hooded men on all of them as well. And I talked to my publisher, and they kind of, I said, you know, this is the main character, Gavin Guile. He's really, he's very charismatic. He's very arrogant. He will not wear a hood. You know, he's kind of like, look at me, here I am. They kind of said, you know, that's really nice, Brent. We appreciate your input. And the hooded men remain. So yes, hooded men and I are apparently a thing now.
Well, it's very iconic.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really nice, Brent. You know what sells books? Cowls. So you know what's going on your cover? Cowl.
Exactly.
That's funny. You know, I hear you and Joe Abercrombie have both been nominated several times for the David Gemmell Legend Award. Have either of you ever won it?
You know, that's a bit of an interesting story. The great thing about the Legend Award is that they the people who put that on is that they give prizes, and so there's a prize like this is for the also rans, which is this beautiful little pewter axe, and
that's nice though,
and it's very nice, it's very cool, and it represents Snaga from that series, David Gemmell's Legend. But when you win, they give you a carbon steel axe.
Wow, that would be nice.
And up to this year, both Joe and I had been nominated numerous times, and we kept getting, you know, these very nice pewter axes for the also rans. But this year, one of us got the thing. So
hey
Joe, this is as close as you're gonna get, buddy. Ooh. So
admire the shiny.
Yes, admire the shiny from a distance.
That's well. Congratulations on the award.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
in all seriousness, congratulations. That's awesome.
So we have a ton of listener questions. Do you want to take the first one?
Yeah, sure. Trike wants to know, how do you come up with character names? On the one hand, they sound like nonsense syllables, yet on the other, they flow easily and are fun to say.
I've taken kind of a couple different approaches with the Night Angel trilogy. I just made stuff up, and I tried to make things that would sound like they came from a specific culture in the world. But I was trying to, you know, make up nonsense names that you know, weren't like Robert and Jim running around Fantasy World. So you know, I had a few probably misfires, but then I got a few that were that I kind of still like. So I've got a couple Kylers, and I've had some people actually name their children Kyler, which is a bit frightening to me. With my second series, the Lightbringer series, I had some more latitude. This world is based on an alternate Mediterranean around 1600 or so. So you've got guns, swords, and you know, pirates and magic all together, which is pretty awesome. And so I took real historical names from those time periods, and I just sort of scrubbed out the religious names. So there's no Muslim names, there's no recognizable you know, Christian names in there, but real names. So that was actually kind of, it was really fun, and I got to, you know, look through lists of you know, North African names and stuff, and try to get ones that there's actually a lot of things you have to do with a name. Like, it has to look different on the page than other names, and you have to have I try to give readers a stab at being able to pronounce it right. But it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
wow,
you know,
getting rid of Muslim and Christian names, that sounds like it would get rid of a lot of the names.
Oh yeah,
it
gets rid of a huge number of names. But seeing those names, at least the recognizably Christian or the recognizably Muslim names, those bring a lot of connotations that didn't fit with what I was doing with my world. So it's like I'm trying to keep you within the world and not break you out of it.
Yeah, well, with your example from the beginning, I just can't imagine a Rob or a Robert in a fantasy world of any kind. No,
nice.
Can't think of any where that would work.
Rob.
Rob, maybe with a
that's such a stark
or a Robert,
name.
like a King Robert.
Yeah.
Anything. It is a very stark name. You're right.
I know which big guys not to take stabs at. One of them.
All right. Our next question actually weirdly comes from a Rob. That's a total coincidence. Who says, really enjoyed The Way of Shadows the most of your first series. On the one, I think it's because I like Durzo a lot more than Azoth. Hopefully I'm pronouncing all these names right too. Do you have any plans to write a full-length story that focuses on Durzo Blint, or is the novella Perfect Shadow it?
I do not plan to write a full-length novel of Durzo at this time. Durzo's an awesome character for a lot of spoilery reasons. He's been around for a long time. He's done a lot of really fun stuff. The challenge with writing a prequel for Durzo is that you know where the story ends. You know who he becomes by the beginning of the Night Angel trilogy, and then he actually changes through the Night Angel trilogy. So, so writing even writing the prequel was pretty depressing for me, because you know that Durzo ends up as this broken, bitter, sarcastic murderer, and that's it's kind of depressing when your character arc takes a guy down and leaves him down. So so at this point I have no plans to write a standalone with Durzo, but as I write the story forward, when I return to the Night Angel universe, I think we will learn more about Durzo.
Good to know. Now, Veronica may protest that she didn't do this on purpose, but our next question comes from a different Rob.
Oh, jeez. I'm sensing a theme
I'm
now.
so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I think he has the best prose. He's talking about you. He says, I think he has the best prose of anyone out there. And I was hoping he might share some insight on how he perfected that part of his craft.
When I got started, my main intention was to have my prose be invisible. I wanted you to experience the story. I wanted the story to be fast. I wanted it to the story was a thing, and so writing without trying to like affect a ye old British literature kind of sound. I wanted to just tell the story. And as I've gotten more novels under my belt, I think my own style has naturally come out. It's your voice is your voice. It's like what you think sounds good will sound good to you. So to me, it's been very much not a studied thing. I write how seems to make sense to me, and apparently that works for him. So
I think there's some good advice there, which is strip away any affectation, and your own voice sort of shines through.
Exactly, and you figure out rhetorical devices and things that make sense and that fit you, and that work on the page for you. So
that's funny, because we were talking off the record, well, kind of off, but mostly on the record, with Ann Leonard, another author, about she was saying how she's read so many different authors whose voice and style she really loves, but she says, that's not me. Like, I write the way that I write, and even though I like those other styles, I can't force myself into those voices, and that's just people will appreciate your own personal voice.
Well, one hopes, right?
One hopes. One would like that. Alex wants to know if you ever consider going into another genre, like maybe a sci-fi or thriller or steampunk, something outside the fantasy realm.
I do think about it. Sometimes I honestly think that my gifts would be well suited to thrillers, because I write fast-paced stories and I have nice surprises in my books that then still make sense when you look back and try to figure out where that came from. The problem is I don't really like that genre that much. So when I look at what I could do really well, and I look at what I love, I'm pretty solidly rooted in fantasy. I have ideas for books that I've got a family drama that I would like to write someday. But I'm sure it would sell, 2 copies, and that would be to my mom, and then she'd be horrified. So I think about these things, but fantasy is really my first love, and I don't consider fantasy to be inferior to some other form. So I love it.
Oh no, I don't think he was inferring that at all either. Like, obviously, like, fantasy is something that it's my favorite genre personally. So, but maybe I'm biased.
And there's several authors are wanting to play in multiple genres. It depends on personal taste.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I guess to follow that up, I have thought quite seriously about writing a YA novel. So that's something that I think that's a genre that doesn't really get any respect either. And that I've got a daughter now. She's 8 months old, and I'd sort of like her to be able to read my books before she's 18.
Right. That's motivation.
You can always go the Patrick Rothfuss route and write a children's book. Wait, no, don't do that.
Horrifying.
Don't let her read that.
Don't let her read that. That children should never read.
That's a terrible idea. Never mind.
Sandy asked the question, will the Lightbringer series be done in 3? Now, I know you've said that it's going to be more than 3. Tell us a little bit about how long it's going to be and what
Oh,
the
God, I was afraid you guys were going to ask this question.
Sure, I know. Sorry.
When I first started this series, I actually thought I could do it in 3, and it was only when it was sort of as the book was going out the door, I called up my editor and I said, There's no way. Sorry, it's gonna be 4. Can you please take off trilogy, because trilogy was actually on the cover.
On the cover, wow.
And you know, because only horrible writers put 4-book trilogies out, right? I mean, like Tad Williams.
Like Douglas Adams.
That's a joke, Tad.
Yeah.
That's a joke. Don't send your people after me.
You have an axe now. You can defend yourself.
So exactly. So it's been to me a question of what does the series demand? You know, Tolkien talked about the story growing in the telling, and I right now it's 4. Right now it's 4, and the books are bursting at the seams with action, and actually now with pages. So definitely 4. I mean, definitely at least 4.
Right.
Okay.
Or some number close to 4.
Right. Exactly.
Now, digging into the story a little bit, Micah wants to know, how does writing Galvin compare to writing Kyler? Who's more fun for you to write about?
Gavin is definitely more fun to write than Kyler, because Gavin is he's actually he's a fun character to write, but a hard character to write as an author. Gavin's kind of the emperor of the world. And that's a hard character to get to love if you're a reader, because you don't have anything in common with this guy who's, well, he's not only really powerful, but he's very intelligent. He uses a ton of magic. He's very persuasive, and he's good looking too. You know, he's kind of the kind of guy that you love to hate. So having a reader identify with that kind of character is very difficult, but at the same time, he's able to get away with a lot of things, and I like writing characters who are able to get away with a lot of things. So where Kyler was a little bit more of an everyman, a little bit more of a kid that you see grow up, and that you experience things with him. So Kyler was a little bit easier, but not quite as fun.
I would like to apologize for saying Galvin instead of Gavin.
Yeah, I was just going to let that go.
Yeah, no, I'm going to blame Micah for that, who posted the question, so that's Micah's fault. I'm just going to throw it at Micah. Yeah, I'm just going to put that out there. Throw Micah under the bus, yeah. Oh, yeah, he's got the axe. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, let's throw Micah under the axe.
Let's hurry to the next question. Christopher wants to know. Christopher actually heard you read an excerpt from The Blinding Knife on tour. Is it available to read somewhere, or is that just sort of a one-time only thing?
I told the fans that I was reading an excerpt from The Broken Eye, the next book, and I said, you know, it's got some spoilers in it, but then no biggie. And then I read this excerpt where I killed 2 of the main characters, and then it just ended. You know, I just ended with both of them dying. One of them actually accidentally kills the other one, and it was quite horrifying. And then I closed with this talk about how, you know, we need to push the genre forward, and even the main characters need to be able to die, and so forth. And like, people were just like, "Oh my god." And then I told them, you know, I was lied to them. That's kind of what I do, and I'm really proud of that story, because it turned out really well. And then of course I was on book tour, so I was reading this thing over and over, like 17 days in a row, and so I would work on it every day. I'd be like, this didn't work very well, so I actually refined it pretty well, and I'm trying to figure out a way to sell it without pissing too many people off, because I don't want people to be confused and think it's an actual, you know, outtake. But I had a ton of fun with it, so it'll show up somewhere. I'll put it out eventually. I'm not exactly sure how yet, though.
It's kind of like the deleted scene from a DVD, where they're like, we filmed it this way, and then we decided not to use it.
A little too intense.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I had somebody, you know, basically weeping in the front row, so that was fun.
That's impressive.
Did you have people posting like spoilers on Twitter?
Yes. Well, I said, you know, please. People were very good. They like being on the in and watching other people, you know, fall for it. So nobody posted any spoilers, which was great.
Wow, that's also impressive.
You know, but you still have to be careful. I posted a fake spoiler about Downton Abbey recently, and I lost like 50 Twitter followers because they thought I was posting actual spoilers, and I was like, "There's no way." I basically said that Carson dies. Like, it's like really tragic how Carson dies in the 4th season. Like, it was just awful.
Wait, Carson dies?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. So
unfollow.
So be careful. Unfollow. Someone called me some pretty bad names too. Christina wants to know what sparked the idea for the magic system in Lightbringer.
Oh gosh, that's a pretty complex answer. But to boil it down, light is really cool to me. I took some classes in college that kind of talked about it's called Quanta Astra et Deus, and it was team taught by um, a, a physicist, a philosopher, and a religion professor, and they kind of talked about light and what quantum science and how these things affect these different fields. And I was like, man, light is amazing. You know what? When you start talking about light, that's where our metaphors break down, and we've always understood science through metaphors. But when you talk about light, you're talking about like a particle wave. Like that doesn't actually make sense. Right. You know, you do the dual slit experiment, you do these things, and they're like, that doesn't make sense. That's so weird. And so I wanted to build a magic system that was based on real science, but like the weird science that's that people think they kind of understand light, and it turns out we understand light, you know, not nearly as well as we think we do, and the color spectrum, and there's subjective elements to things, and so I just started layering those things together, and I had a lot of fun with it. So
it's almost like if there were a version of hard sci-fi for fantasy, it would be like hard fantasy.
Yes, yes. I wanted something that really made sense if you bought the initial conceit, and the initial conceit was that like think of a candle. When you burn a candle, you know, there's this chemical reaction, and basically you get heat and light. There's some other stuff, but don't worry about that for this. And so I thought, like, what if you could run that in reverse, and you could take light or heat, and you could get physical stuff out of it, and that's it. And then I thought, well, each color would have different attributes, and they'd have, you know, different weight, different smell, different texture, different strengths, and then they would also have metaphysical attributes. So using blue would make you be more logical over the long. Using red would make you be more passionate over the long run. And so just by layering these fairly simple systems together, I got something that I'm really proud of. It's a lot of fun to play with.
It's the principle of symmetry in physics that you're kind of playing with there. It's perfect. I love
Oh,
that.
absolutely, absolutely. And conservation of energy and all that. It's still there. So.
All right, our last listener question comes from Michael, and he sets the scene here. Gavin, is it Dazen?
Dazen.
Kyler and Durzo enter an arena. Scattered throughout the arena is various rubble ranging from toppled towers to small rocks. All four fighters have been given full info on their opponents, including abilities and fighting style. It's a four-way fight with only one rule. Fight until only one lives. Who walks out alive and how?
We maybe should have given this to him in advance.
Yeah.
Fight.
And how is the real one, because you just don't bet against Durzo Bland. There's just he's seen it all, he's done it all, and he's sneaky. So I think Durzo's going to walk out of there, and it's going to be messy. That's pretty much all I can say.
How is messy? I think that's fair.
And hopefully How is some kind of fanfic that Michael writes in the future.
Exactly.
That sounds perfect.
Go forth and fanfic, yes.
All right, now it's time for our super questions, and these are, I know they sound scarier than they are. These are questions that we ask a lot of the different authors.
Is this the part where the flesh rubbing comes up?
There's a little flesh rubbing.
You were talking about that earlier.
That is that was off the record.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
That was this is a little awkward now.
There is no flesh rubbing in the super questions.
There's no flesh rubbing this round. So the first one is, what is your favorite word?
What is my favorite word? Moist.
That's your favorite word?
Oh, I'm sorry. There is flesh rubbing in this.
Oh, flesh rubbing. That is, yeah. That's funny because that is Mary Robinette Kowal's least favorite word. Or it's up there. So I guess Mary, you guys can't be friends anymore.
And we're friends. We're friends.
How awkward.
Mary, come on.
Well, it's symmetry again.
Balancing, bringing balance to the force.
Exactly.
Is that your final answer?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yes.
good.
I like it because it makes people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, got it.
So is it true, just to set this last question up, is it true that you started your novel writing it on napkins? Or is that
basically, yeah.
Okay.
Like many an English major before me, I graduated and found myself with no marketable skills, and so I got a job in a bar, and you know that sounds like really romantic, and it did to me, which was part of why I got the job. But it wasn't like one of these really like cool bars where there's like, young people all over the place and everybody's having a good time. It was sort of more like a middle-aged person bar.
Like a sad bar.
Like kind of a sad bar at times.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of standing around in between messing up people's drinks and getting yelled at by the servers. So I started the novel there. I basically I would write down ideas, and then I would write during the day and work the bar at night. So it was like my first paying job after college.
Do you still have the napkins?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay.
Of course I do. Yes, I'll be selling those on eBay. You can link to my to my auction site.
There's 21 hours left, folks, so get in there and bid.
Exactly.
So here's your actual super question then, now that we've got the facts straight. What other paper products might make good starter novel surfaces?
Doilies. Wait, like the paper doilies.
Sure, yeah,
not
the
the
disposable
fabric
ones,
doily.
right.
They've got a lot of holes in them, though.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of places for your plot to go.
Plot holes
That's
in the
right.
doilies.
Nice.
Wow, that was good time.
Nice. I have written before on coffee filters. I recommend the white ones that are bleached and slightly toxic for you.
Right, you don't want to use those for your coffee, so.
Right. So, boy, I'm running out. Those are my favorite paper products.
I think that's a good start.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have another one?
You know, the back of matchbooks.
Ah, right.
Short stories.
Short stories. Flash fiction.
I like it.
You guys are rubbing off on me.
I'm sorry. That's not a good thing.
Well, fortunately, that's all we have. But thank you, Brent, so much for being on the show today. You were awesome.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
His most recent novel, The Blinding Knife, from the Lightbringer series, came out September 13th, 2012. The Broken Eye, another in the Lightbringer series, is out as of August 26th, 2014.
And that's it, folks. If you want more Sword and Laser, there is tons. You can join our Goodreads group at goodreads.com and subscribe to the podcast, both audio and video, at swordandlaser.com. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye. Lem! Hey, Lem, can you get the lights?